Good morning. Please stand for music. You may be seated. Good morning. Today is February 8th, 2021. Our quote today comes from Audre Lorde. It is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. And now we have a senior presentation by Katie Bergstrom.
When it comes to applying to colleges, they sometimes like to ask you interesting questions to get a more holistic view of who you are as a candidate. Usually, I'm not a fan of these questions, and I found myself going through the motions of just trying to write a good essay. There was one question in particular that caused me to pause and do some self-reflection. What would you like to be remembered for? I feel like this is a fairly standard question to ask, but it really stumped me. I found it strange when I started thinking about what I would like to be remembered for. The question forced me to ask myself, who am I? I realize this question is a bit cliche, but it's still something that I've thought about for years and sometimes continues to elude me. Ever since childhood, I've been one to try and stick with the crowd, and I identify myself through others. Whether the trend be Silly Band, Rainbow Loom, although I swear I started that one, or Webkinz to name a couple, I often wonder which of these I loved for their time period appropriate charm and which of these I simply loved because others did. I also often find myself using the phrase, I'm not sure, what do you think? I love hearing and using other people's opinions as a basis for my own. Sometimes, though, they begin to blur with my own opinions, making it difficult to see where others end and I begin. This makes it overwhelming when the question of my remembrance is brought up, as I can equate how others remember me with my own worth and identity. I like to think I am still my own person, but I continue to run back to the drawing board every so often looking for a newer, better, clearer answer. Staring at this metaphoric blank board, I look for comfort, and I end up finding it in things that I know are true. One thing I know is that when I find myself overwhelmed, I try to make lists. There is one list I wrote about a month ago that I keep coming back to. In this list, I tried to name as many facts that I knew about myself as I could. It became a cheat sheet of sorts, and I would like to share some of it. The note on my phone is appropriately titled, What I Know About Myself. Number 1, I cry at cute videos of puppies. Number 2, I love a good movie at night, but definitely TV by day. Number 3, I'm not a huge chocolate fan, but I have a sweet tooth for it all the time. Number 4, I still use a nightlight. Number 5, I usually read the ends of books before the rest of it because I like to know what's going to happen. Number 6, I love joggers because I hate tripping on long pants. Number 7, I like to be comfortable, but I also like to dream about living on the edge. Number 8, the sound of rain is like music and makes me happy. Number 9, I think a lot about how my choices affect others. And number 10, I'm afraid of making the wrong choices. Now, there are many more written and unwritten things that I know about myself, but I believe that this summary gets my point across. Most of these bullets are just small, mundane things that I notice and find comfort in knowing to be true. I hold on to all these little details, and so I hold on to things I find truly valuable all the more so. Whether it be the love I show to friends, the jokes I take way too long to think of, or essays about remembrance and legacy, I tend to care a lot. Going back to my burning question of what I would like to be remembered for, I seem to come to a crossroads. It would be extremely easy for me to say I want to be remembered for the way that I care, but that seems awfully one-dimensional. What I mean to say is there are so many other aspects of my personality to consider that simply focusing on something like my ability to care seems to negate some of the reasons why I am so good at it. There's much more to humanity than can be summed up onto a small card and tucked inside a bouquet. Just as flowers are only seen once prepared and deemed beautiful, I am most often perceived as my most prepared, blooming version of myself. Just as I could be remembered for the way that I was thoughtful, kind, caring, or some other generic positive adjective, I could be remembered for being anxious, meticulous, or stubborn. I can't help but wonder and worry that I'm erasing so many other narratives and aspects of my identity by choosing to focus on just the positive ones. In addition, some of my more negative traits are what feed my ability to feel sympathy and empathy. I am much more than something like caring and kindness, because I'm not always this idealized version of myself. As everyone does, I have shortcomings. I feel like these are often avoided when it comes to remembrance, but they are such an essential part of my life. The times I make mistakes are the moments I find myself in the most, because I see the potential for growth inside of those mistakes. After a lot of thinking and confusion, I've come to this conclusion about remembrance. Life is a culmination of memories, but I do not think that memory can give a true picture of any life. To remember me as simply a caring person would, in my opinion, erase so much of my identity. It would be to erase the times when I wonder about the meaning of life or ponder if it's finally time to forgo that earlier mentioned nightlight. It would erase how I find myself crying at videos of puppies running through fields and laugh endlessly at some of my favorite shows, including New Girl and Schitt's Creek. I am not any one thing, and I can't, or at least shouldn't be defined by any one part. All of this is to say, if I had to be remembered for something, I would probably like it to be my complexity and humanity. While I can say that many people I've interacted with could be described as caring or kind, without a doubt, everyone's lists would look vastly different but equally wonderful and unique, and I think that is pretty cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. And now I'd like to bring up Tia to tell us our Black History Month fact from the BSU.
On this day in 1986, Oprah Winfrey became the first African American to host a nationally syndicated talk show.
Thank you, Tia. And now I'd like to bring up Harvey to tell us our holiday.
So, today is National Kite Flying Day. The fastest crossing of the English Channel, towed by kites, was 2 hours and 30 minutes in 1999. They would have done it in 2 hours if the French Coast Guards had not stopped them half a mile from the French coast. Kites have been used for fishing, bird scaring, forecasting the weather, and frightening evil spirits away. And in 1847, a young boy won a competition to fly and land a kite on the other side of the Niagara River. They then used the kite line to pull larger cables over the river, enabling them to start work on building the first railway bridge between the U.S. and Canada.
Thank you, Harvey. All right, our joke of the day. What did the flower say after it told a joke? Anyone? I was just pulling your leg. Thank you. Thank you. Slow clap. Perfect. All right. Lunch today is chicken and sweet potatoes. Do we have any faculty announcements?
First ensemble today is strings and usual time. Secondly, Lillian Kong has not only made it into All Eastern Orchestra, which is about maybe a dozen states in the eastern part of the U.S., so she'll be playing with chosen players from all over that region, a really, really big honor. And also, she will be playing first chair viola in All County in March.
Woo!
Just a reminder that the basketball team needs to come pick up their uniforms at lunch today. Thanks.
Do we have any other faculty announcements? Any student announcements? Okay, well, thank you. That is all I have, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.